one breast, two love, and living life victoriously. Chapter 6. Cancer provoked my stepfather's death the day after my first chemotherapy treatment. It was September 10th, 2010, the day after my first chemotherapy treatment. I received a call stating that my stepfather had died. I instantly became numb. Before the telephone call, I had been feeling off balance, nauseated, and dizzy. I also had chills due to the chemotherapy the day before. I talked with Mama over the telephone, but I did not go over to my parents' home. It was just a bit too much for me to handle. Hearing that Terry was gone was one thing, but to go over to their home and he not physically be there would have brought me to my knees. The natural thing for me to do was to go and be with my mother, but I told myself, Tina Maria, you must take care of yourself. You just had chemotherapy yesterday. You need to relax. Do not go over to the house. After hanging up the telephone, I remember asking the Lord, Lord, for real? Did you really have to take Terry home a day after I had my healing water? I allowed my tears to flow as long as they wanted to, and then I went down memory lane to Terry's and my conversation when I told him that I went to the doctor and was told that cancer was visiting my left breast. Terry had asked me, what did the doctor say? Does it look good? Are you going to make it? Before he could say anything else, I said to him, yes, I'm going to make it, and you are too. Let's know together that we are both being healed right now in the name of Jesus. Terry looked at me and smiled and said, let me give you a hug, and held me tight. We both became silent and allowed the silence to speak out loud as Terry embraced me as his child. My mother was told several years ago that her husband would not be here with us very long due to his medical condition. Well, because we were praying and he lived many years past what my mother had been told, I guess I thought he was just going to keep on living. I was wrong. My stepdad also had an experience with the unwanted visitor, which eventually destroyed his physical body. Unfortunately, cancer had the nerve to take my stepdad's life like a thief in the night the day after my first chemotherapy treatment. It was so important for me to stay focused and positive, knowing that my attitude contributed to the success of my treatments. I knew that prayer was the best and only support that I could give to myself and my family. I remember praying and asking divine love to give my family strength and peace as they handled Terry's service without me. I decided it would be for my highest good not to get involved with the planning of Terry's homegoing service. I was so grateful God sent Kenneth and others to assist Mama with facilitating a beautiful homegoing celebration for my stepdad. It was definitely a relief for me that someone else was handling the service arrangements. It allowed me to be present with myself and what I was physically feeling after having my first chemotherapy treatment. I stayed prayed up and said my daily affirmations. I refused to let fear come into my thoughts and stay, not even for a minute. I had to tell myself that just because divine love took my dad home did not mean he was going to take me home right now. I said repeatedly, I am going to live and be joy-filled. As I affirmed and embraced these words, each time I got louder and louder, knowing that my body believed every word that I said and felt and would respond accordingly. After affirming, embracing, I am going to live and be joy-filled, I was able to smile and felt without a doubt that I was not going to die due to cancer being in my left breast. Unfortunately, I could not attend Terry's service. I had to remind myself that he was at peace now and that I had to take care of myself. So I stayed home and I had my own private service, remembering and cherishing the times Terry and I shared. I began to think about the time we had together over the last year of his life. One of the most sacred moments was when I took Terry to have a medical procedure done on his liver, and I stayed with him the whole time. I helped him tie his gown and get comfortable in the bed, and I held his hands as I prayed. Eventually, it was time for him to have surgery. So I went into the waiting lobby, sat down, closed my eyes, and began to pray and meditate. After praying and meditating for some time, I felt peaceful and knew that the outcome of the surgery would be for my dad's highest good. Another precious memory is when I had just became a first-time home buyer and wanted to replace the linoleum in the guest bathroom. I drove us to Home Depot and purchased all the materials and supplies needed to replace the linoleum. When we returned to my home, Terry joyfully instructed and assisted me with how to rip out the old and put down the new. I did most of the ripping during this home repair project. Terry was weak and did not have the strength to do heavy labor, so I did most of the work. As Terry was smiling and giving instructions, I was complaining about how tired and sore I was from pulling and bending and so on. I remember saying, now I understand why contractors charge what they do, because this work is hard. We both laughed. Under any other circumstance, I would not have been doing this type of labor. But since Terry was assisting me, I felt that I could do it. I felt grateful and very proud of myself for being willing to do something that could be done with Terry's assistance instead of paying a contractor to do it for me. After going down memory lane, I said a Thanksgiving prayer. I thank the Lord for Terry sharing his knowledge, time, compassion, patience, joy, and love. I will cherish the moments we had together, and most of all, I will always remember the joy I felt when Terry told me how proud and honored he was to have me as his daughter.